got a love-hate relationship with this NPC term, mainly because I feel like it can be so good when used right, and it's not. Why are you walking down some random person in your school that might not fit the conventional teen stereotype, and then try to make the claim that they can't make complex decisions? That boy with social anxiety is not who the term is referring. Let me tell you who the real NPCs are. Let me tell you who the real ones are. I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was a barber, and it's always hit or miss whether or not the cut looks good. This one actually came out sweet, and everybody in the comments was saying it looked good, and then someone gonna comment, bro's holding back tears. It is then when it occurred to me that some people just aren't built with the filtration system, where they receive information, interpret, analyze, and spit out something that's genuinely there. They observe and consume and say, okay, so this comment evokes this reaction, so I'm gonna do that. Until they have a whole arsenal of preset responses, just like an NPC that they regurgitate out when they see fit. Is that not terrifying? Like, I'll make a video about race, and then someone will comment, okay, can you talk about real issues like inflation? Who told you to say that? Your mom told you to say that? You didn't think of that yourself. This guy. Like, critically think, create an innovative idea. People like this is what causes the stagnation of our country. How do you live like this? You're a bot.
I'm not even sure he's on the top 5 of the all-time greatest Lakers, bro.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous.
It's ridiculous to say that, and let me tell you why. It's been a minute. Y'all miss me? Let's get into it. One of my most frequently asked questions that I still haven't answered is as follows. When you talk about how black women and women of color are fetishized, so how is it that white women are still the beauty standard? Wouldn't the appreciation of women of color's features then interject them into the beauty standard? I usually answer no, because fetishization is a perverted appreciation and not a real appreciation, but admittedly that answer isn't very substantive. But this video sets it up so nice for me. He basically lobbed the joint up to me. What I gotta do now is come off the screen and, hey, finish that jump. When something is standardized, its mediocrity becomes acceptable. Remember that. So when white women serve as the beauty standard, their mediocrity becomes a standard, the average. It deems all women that aren't white below that average, which is why the 6 out of 10 white girls are considered more attractive than 6 out of 10 black girls. What fetishization does is it creates a hyper-idealistic version of something that you're typically unfamiliar with on a visceral level. So when you see a flawless dark-skinned woman online, which you're not used to seeing, you become intrigued. So much so to the point you might rank her higher than the 10 out of 10 white girls that you're so used to seeing plastered on the media. This is why white women being the beauty standard and women of color being fetishized can coexist. It also explains why black women have to seemingly be flawless to even be looked at. I ain't posting a minute, I still got it, Mo.
Is there a reason why Jake Paul only fights?
Yes, I know. Jaden coming in to ruin another TikTok that was supposed to be a joke. Do I care? I couldn't less. Before I start this video, let me talk about how there's no pragmatic implication of what I'm about to say. Like, there's nothing I'm proposing that we do because of this. There's nothing to do because of this. With that being said, the marketability, and let's be honest, commodification of black on white competition is something that is nothing new in our consumer marketplace. Putting black people up against white people is marketable, especially if the white person wins. And Jake Paul actually isn't the best example because there's plenty of white fighters he wants to fight, like Conor McGregor and Tommy Fury. Regardless, he still benefits from the black on white competition, even if it's not a strategy that he like imposes. Mere fact that I knew once Nate Robinson lost that there would just be racism that would ensue is like, what? This isn't even just boxing. There's like a whole branch of YouTube that profits off this. I think it's of no surprise that videos with thumbnails like this are just going to get more views. The plot of the video usually goes, oh, black people being aggressive, but white Hooper schools them in the end. And let me make this clear. This isn't the content creator's fault. It's just a reflection of what we find marketable. Okay, except when they would say like getting jumped in the ghetto, like that was their fault. But other than that, it's like on us. One of the strongest tools that white supremacy has is its ability to rationalize the otherwise irrational violence against black people. Let me try to break this down. Racism is irrational. Like, by nature, it's irrational. If you say, I hate black people, that is an irrational opinion to have, right? When I ask you why, that is when you have to justify it. Well, obviously, you probably are asking, how do you justify an irrational stance? It is through baseless stereotypes where you can attempt to achieve such a thing. For example, lynching was obviously a means of reinforcing the institution of white supremacy, but we are also moving out of the slave era, so more and more people are starting to question the senseless murders of black people. In connection with these lynchings and countless barbarities, the myth of the black rapist was conjured up. Accusing a black man of rape was the easiest way to rationalize the senseless lynching of said black man. Another example, the sexual abuses against black women, especially from white men, were often ignored. But once people started to question it, that's when a new stereotype has to drop. Countless contemporary writers at the time would succumb to depicting their black female characters as promiscuous and up for the taking. Why do they do this? Because depicting black people as having a ceaseless sexual urge blocks them from achieving justice. Attempting to rationalize oppression is nothing new, which is why George Floyd and Trayvon Martin are thugs before they are victims.
Bitch, you can keep your goodies. I'm in the club just spreading my pussy. Pussy, pussy, spreading my pussy. Pussy, pussy, spreading my pussy. Pussy, pussy, spreading.
Speaking for the whole black community when I say this, you can change your profile picture. No one is gonna.
That's cap, cause I'm gonna cancel you. Change your profile picture, see what happened. I will cancel you expeditiously with maximum speed and efficiency. You feel stuck, don't you? Yeah, you feel stuck, don't you? Change it. I dare you. Change it. That profile picture not yours anymore. That profile picture from my black life. It's not yours anymore. I'm sorry.
You can change your profile picture. No one is gonna.
That's cap, cause I'm gonna cancel you. Change your profile picture, see what happened. I will cancel you expeditiously with maximum speed and efficiency. You feel stuck, don't you? Y'all have been spamming me talking about this, and honestly, I couldn't believe it. I refuse to believe it. Clearly, this girl think I'm a joke. Charli D'Amelio, I'm not a joke, so let's get into it. Charli D'Amelio, the girl y'all know and love, she called me the N-word, word to my dad. And I got proof. proof. I swear, I got proof. So I was chilling on my phone when I got this text. I was like, how she even get my number? But I'm geek. Just so y'all know this is real, look at the profile picture. The same as it was before. I replied with, yo, Charli, you know, a little generic response. What she replied with? Oh. She ain't waste no time. That profile picture was for my black life. I said it before and I'll say it again. It wasn't yours. It was for my black life and you changed it. So all y'all do with them screenshots what you will. They are public domain. Nah, but Charli, here's my cash app. Slip me some and this never happened. This never happened. Listen.
Huey is like that in response to moving to a white neighborhood. Riley is like that
in response to moving to a white girl. Y'all not hearing him, so let's really get into it. He goes on to say how this is true for every character in the Boondocks, including Uncle Ruckus and Grandpa. I love his video because it opens up the conversation about how black people respond in vastly different ways to being interjected into whiteness. And each type of response is personified in the use of each character in the Boondocks. An important theme that I draw is that any one response to whiteness isn't any more justified than another. But us as black people try to do this all the time. We try to pin the responses against each other. And when we do this, it's an extension of white supremacy, causing us to essentially oppress each other. You know that trend where it's like a black person, the caption will be like, well, when you're out in public and say a group of black people acting loud and rambunctious. Everybody in the comments be like, oh, it's so embarrassing. They're giving in to the stereotype. It comes to a point where y'all are literally black people hindering and shaming the expression of other black people. I just found the video I saw the other day and it literally uses a boondock sound. Obviously, there's a level of decency anyone should have in public, but isn't it crazy how white people can be loud and rambunctious in public and don't have to worry about embarrassing their race? You're calling them loud, they're calling you whitewash. We're all doing the same thing. It all just stifles liberation.
Little boy did my bitch, got me mad shit, so I slapped the bitch.
So I know we're all having fun coming for Dennis for being a literal pedophile in these comments. But I do want to talk about this question because I feel like I see it a lot, and I feel like the answer is a lot easier than a lot of people take the time to realize. To put it simply, the answer is generally yes for women, but no for men. I felt like the double standard was pretty clear, but maybe that's a byproduct of me having too much faith that people will consider how much the patriarchy affects men and women's attraction to each other, especially when aging. The oppressive concept of a prime time isn't as prevalent for men as it is for women. Like historically, there just isn't the same glorification of men in their early 20s. Right, the patriarchy has made it so that men's attraction to women is more contingent on their appearance. Obviously, this has been the case for centuries, but the media in the 50s and 60s really solidified this concept, at least for modern Western civilization. Marilyn Monroe kind of serving as the peak of women's sexual desire and thus value. Actresses will still talk about this today, right? Attractive male leads will get casted until like near 55, while attractive women roles will stop getting casted at like 30. If you just don't believe me, there's so many studies on it at this point. For men, as they age, their preferences still are around the early 20s. For women, it's around their same age. Recent studies show the same thing. I feel like one of the dumbest discourses on this app is whether or not men can have friends that are women or not. The whole conversation is so tangential to what we need to be talking about and not targeted in the slightest. Because if you're a man saying no they can't, boom, what does that tell me? You fundamentally view all women as sexual objects, so that's why you can't view them in a platonic manner. Simple. But a woman saying no they can't can tell me two different things. One, you can be the same frame of mind as the man that I mentioned before, which is a result of internalized misogyny. Or two, you acknowledge that a lot of men do view women as sexual objects and thus can't view you in a platonic manner. You might be like, small difference, but no, it's like huge. Those are two completely different people at two completely different depths of the knowledge of their own oppression coming to the same answer on the same question. That's an awful question. Listen, I get it. I know in this app we love inflammatory, overarching, objective statements. And although we hate it, the answer sometimes is just it depends. For example, I think men with sisters, especially around their age, are more likely to be able to maintain a platonic women friend because they've grown up with an example of that since they were born, which they can refer back on thereafter. Because some men's first interaction with women that isn't their mother is a romantic one. This is just one factor out of a million. This isn't gonna be a long video. I thought I'd share it because I thought it was brilliant. This is why, hands down, Thomas Sankara is one of my favorite revolutionaries ever. Because not only was he so poised in his writing, he was so unambiguous in his speeches, but still diplomatic, if that makes any sense. Anyway, I think his breakdown of the oppression that women face is one of the best out of any of the old revolutionaries because of how insightful it is. Let me read this to you. To give context, he's addressing the Burkinabe women of his country, Burkina Faso, that was going through a revolution at the time. This was like the mid-1980s. Okay, I'm gonna read it. There is also a whole bevy of men who publicly, at least in improper company, subject women to public humiliation because of some grudge they have not had the strength of character to surmount, thus losing confidence in all women who become from then on tools of the devil. He's literally talking about that 17-year-old boy who got his heart broken at 14 and then hates all women because of it. But he's saying this near 40 years ago. Well, look at this one on the same page. Or else they do so out of hypocrisy, proclaiming their contempt for the female sex too often and categorically. All these men end up night after night in brothels until occasionally their hypocrisy is discovered. He's talking about men that hate women, specifically the ones who talk about hating women all the time, and how they often do it to cover up their own immoralities. You could have said this yesterday and I would have believed it. That's the definition of timeless. You know what makes me so happy? The fact that I can wake up, right, post on TikTok, and ain't nobody gonna argue about my race in the comments. Not a single soul. You're gonna get it right. Go ahead, guys. You gonna get it right. Like, I promise you. Because I be seeing the videos of the people, and they be just on the line, like, giving very much, what's the word, ambiguous, and they be fighting for their lives in the comments, right? They be stitches and duets talking about they white, they black, all this other stuff. And it just be a mess. They be rushing trying to find pictures of their parents, grandparents. You don't gotta see a picture of my parents. Nope. Nope. I ain't never have to pull out a picture. If you had to do that, that's tough. I'm not even gonna lie. Couldn't be me though.
Oh, he getting flipped, going crazy. I did it again. Bitch said I ain't shit, but I hit it again. She all on my dick, but I'm hitting the front. And if we can't get him, then we getting this man. But we gotta go get her, push it to her.